Hi everyone, and welcome back to episode 32 of the weekly update. Let's not waste any time and get straight into it. I have gotten quite a lot of time to be able to work on my goals. I've gotten way more time than I have had in the previous weeks, so that has been very good. But the negative there, I would say, is that I haven't used that time optimally. I have realized that the problem is maybe not my time. The problem is more me, or that I have to focus all of my energy, that I have to make the hard choices, that I have to do what's necessary. I think that's the problem, my discipline basically, which I didn't think was the problem, but I come to that conclusion. I think that is very good, that I know the cause, so now that I can start working on that. And I also said that I was going to update you on why you should watch me, or I talked in the previous video of that I would think a little bit more about why people should watch me, because I think that is one of the most important things a small creator like I am can do, because it's a very high competition out there. It's very high competition for audience's time. There are so many small creators, there are so many big creators, so why should you watch one specific? And I agree with my old self pretty much. I think that the reason why people could be interested in watching my content is because I can be relatable and I can share my journey and thereby be relatable through my journey. The next thing that I want to talk about with you is a method or an idea which I came up with, which has been very effective. So I want to share it with you because it has been surprisingly effective for me to actually do stuff which I haven't done, or to do stuff which I need to do but I have been lacking behind of. And I call it the list method. It's basically that you sit down with a pen and paper, or you can do it with your computer or your phone or whatever, but you sit down and you write all of your problems down, or everything which is hindering you, everything which is bothering you. It could be the most small thing which isn't really relevant at all the way up to the biggest problem you have. Then I said to myself that I was going to at least do one of these things, fix one of these problems every single day. But actually before that I sat down for like 1 or 2 hours and tried to complete as many of these tasks as I could. And it actually went quite well. It took a bit longer than I thought to check off some of the boxes in the list to get the task completed, but it actually worked surprisingly well. So these things which had been bothering me, these small things, which aren't really a big problem, but when you add all of them up, it's something which is constantly in the back of your mind, and yeah, it can be very bothering, and it can also hinder you from actually doing the real work, to actually getting into focused work, because you can come up with all of these excuses that, oh no, wait, I need to fix this small thing which I got going on, so then you spend time towards that instead of actually doing something meaningful. So I think that the list method is actually very effective. Yeah, just writing down all of your problems, to the smallest to the biggest, and then just checking off one of these things every day. And in the beginning, just sitting down for like 1-2 hours and trying to complete as many of these tasks as possible. That has been working well for me, at least. And one final thing which I want to talk about before we get into my goals, and it's a method which I've used now to get a better direction of where I want to go. Basically to see my future in a more clear way. And then I took that, and with the help of ChatGPT, I made it into a system which I can follow. So what I did was that I answered about 40 questions about where I want my life to be in 3 years. So there was a bunch of questions like, how does your life look in 3 years? I can actually read some of the questions because I can't remember all of them. So some of the questions were like, what is the best case scenario that would happen to you in 3 to 5 years, but I took it as in 3 years. What's the purpose of this chapter of your life? How much money would you have in your bank account? What kind of person do you have to be in order to create this magnificent lifestyle? Yeah, just a bunch of these questions asking you about your life in as much detail as possible, and what you had to do to get there, and what you do in a day-to-day action, what skills have you mastered to get there. Just a bunch of these questions, and I wrote down all of the answers to that. It was like a 4-page document. It was quite a lot, and then I took that into ChatGPT and I asked it to create a day in the life of that person and describe it in as much detail as possible, and it did that. And then I asked it to create a system in order for me to get there, and yeah, it was actually quite good. And then I also asked it to write down a weekly plan for me that I can follow, and then into a day-by-day plan of what I need to do in order to get there. And as it seems of right now, I feel like it's a very good system, and it has helped me to like get out what exactly it is that I need to do, because it has been a bit hard for me, because I know that I have to do this stuff. I know that I have to work hard. I know that I have to stay consistent, but it can be a bit hard to know what exactly it is that I need to do in order to reach my goals and in order to become successful. And I feel like this helped me a bit. So if anyone is interested in the 40 something questions, I can send them to you if you send me a message or something like that. And some of them were a bit cheesy and some of them were a bit repetitive, but yeah, in general I think that it was quite good and quite valuable, especially when you took that later into ChatGPT and made it create a day and then made it create a system for that. But enough said about that. Now let's get into my goals for the next week and a couple of plans for the future. So next week I will have a deload week in the gym, in my workouts, because I feel like I have been seeing a decrease in my strength, and also I've been just in general kind of tired, and I also felt a bit sick before this week. I felt like my throat hurt a bit, so I feel like I have overtrained a bit, or it's time for a deload week. And I've never done this before, but after some research I found that could be the case when your strength decreases or not increases, and yeah, you just don't feel like working out. A positive of that is that actually gives me more time to work on this and to get my shit together here. Hopefully it also gives me a bit more energy now that I don't have to push very hard in the gym. So yeah, that is one thing, or I'm not sure if it's a goal for the next week, but it's a thing which I will do at least. Point number 2 is to keep grinding away at the list. I have a few more points there which are kind of easy to check off, but they're still bothering me, so that is point number 2. And then point number 3 is to follow that AI system which I created, which I talked about. And yeah, I think that is good to focus on that. But I also want to talk a bit about the anticlimactic state of these videos, or the anticlimactic state of my progress for the past month. I said in the beginning of this video series that this was going to be the beginning of my great transformation. I even made a video called something like that, the beginning of the next chapter or something. And I feel like I haven't really lived up to that. And I don't want to get all critical here, but sometimes these videos can feel a bit like I'm just talking about all of my weaknesses and talking about all of the things which I'm not doing right. And yeah, that is sort of the purpose of this video, because I don't always go around analyzing all of my actions and trying to improve like that. But this time of the week, every Sunday I sit down here and go through my week and just see what I can do better and what I done which isn't good enough. So therefore these videos can sometimes get a little bit like I'm looking down on myself or stuff like that, which I'm not doing. I'm just very critical of myself at this time of the week. I just don't want to get the wrong message across, like I'm good, but I want to be better. That's sort of the message. Yeah, I think that I've talked enough for this video, and I feel like I've gotten out everything which I wanted this week. So I think that we will end it with the same message as always, and that is to take care and accomplish great things. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.